Hi everyone. So we're live, and thank you for being here another week. Last week we were talking about guerrilla marketing. That's the kind of marketing that we do at Abilite. We started doing that because we had no money whatsoever, so we had to use our brains and how to maximize our abilities to get our games and ourselves out there. And now we keep doing it because we find it's the more effective when you don't have a big budget to spend. You do what is more efficient and what it helps you reach the widest and the farthest, and it makes us to think better what we want to do and what do we want to accomplish. So we keep at it with the guerrilla tactics. However, we are very heavily based in digital. So we coined the digital guerrilla marketing term to refer to all the things that we do all year round to promote our games online and to be as close as possible to the audience, to the players, to the people that love the games and play the games, and maybe want to know more about how we do games and how we publish them. And also, for other people in the industry that they either want to do the same, create games or publish games, or want to get to know us a bit better. So, work with us. So, with no more ado, I'm going to introduce our awesome Orchid styling, who is taking care of our all communication or social communication. And let's. Are you there? Yes, she's there.
Hi.
Hi. So, how are you doing? How are you doing today?
Doing great, getting even more caffeinated, so I would call it awesome.
Yeah, whoever follows us on social media like Twitter, they know that caffeine is one of your addictions. The other one, I don't know if it's correctly called addiction, but cats are your
It's a
second.
tool. It's a marketing tool.
Oh, okay. You don't care for them at all. It's just a marketing
Yeah,
tool.
it's just a marketing tool for me, for all four of them.
Okay, that's good. Um, so last week I was talking about a bit what we how we approach the whole marketing strategy is based on guerrilla tactics. Look at me, I don't know how to say guerrilla. um, but how it helps us to be more creative and to be more effective. I feel like not having a big budget makes you be more smart on how you do what you do and why you do it. I'm gonna jump ahead to where we left it. There we go. So, should we talk a bit, like to sum up what we were talking the whole conversation last week?
Yeah, maybe like one step back so that we could
Yeah.
have a
Okay, I'm
quick look.
gonna redo the whole thing backwards and now onwards. Sorry, I was trying to be too effective. So we were talking about that now everything is online. There's everything online. The first you have to identify your audience with regards to your game. You presented a case study, of course, of issues and all the different parts of it, and then how to meet the community, how to get in contact with them, and how to introduce yourself and your game. This, for me, this slide was really important because you cannot go in like, hey, buy my game, hey, buy my game. That's not gonna help your case, right? You
You'll
have
be
to.
eaten. You'll be eaten.
Yeah, exactly. You need to put yourself into others people's shoes and think more about what they might need more than what you need, so you might get your message across. Then we also talked about the Mindkeeper, the Lurking Fear, and all the issues, and how we presented the game to the audience, to everybody, and the challenges that it got us, because it was so advanced for the time that nobody believed, or we had issues communicating. No, it is real, it is a real game, and it's you can go and buy it, and nobody know where to access the store. And we had to explain them where to find the store, the app store for the iWatch. And yeah, then you tackle the how to provide content for the all the networks and everywhere. Yeah, we talk about Twitch and the magic of Twitch, and how wonderful it is to do streams, and how versatile the content that one stream can produce content for a lot of other resources or networks. And then yeah, we talked about the assets and how hard it is. And then we finished with the track, evaluate, and adjust, which I remember that you wanted to continue, but I couldn't. And I think that this is really really important, because in order for you to know whether what you're doing is reaching the right audience, and the right way, the way that you want it, you have to track it, you have to evaluate the impact, and adjust in case if it's not. So please go ahead.
Yeah, so from now, I would like to point out one difference that I've noticed when all this Corona madness hit. I thought first, like, maybe it's just me, maybe it's just my brain. It feels like everything is moving like way faster than before. So it took me a while to figure out that it makes sense to look at everything at all the performance stuff on the go. So you create something, then you give it some time to show itself, to show what it can do, and then you look at it right away instead of looking at, for instance, a longer period of time. You can still do that to track, for instance, some trends, or to see how something works in the long run. That's another side of it. But what works for me is looking back at something that has just been done. Also, it gives me time to iterate the same idea. For instance, maybe the wording was not successful, but people like the image, or the other way around. So looking back at something you just did is the trick that I learned in these times. So what I do is post, forget about that, and check in later. I like idle games, and you can probably tell that. So this is kind of the same idea, that you create something, you're proud of it, that's an important thing. Then you get it out there and hope for the best, well, or pray to social media gods. You give it, but what you do is to give it time to perform. Another thing that I would like to point out here is that like, if you find ways to track when your audience is the most active, this can bring the result as close as possible to the desired one. Because sometimes it happens that I post something that is really awesome, it's really fun, and I'm so proud of it, and then no one reacts to that. It turned out that I was posting when I got access to the information when our audience is active on that particular platform. I realized that, well, maybe it's not me. Maybe it's the time that's like a dead time slot when nobody is just there. Everybody's at work, outside with their kids. That I don't know, but people were just not there. So it makes sense to see when your crowd is active. Like you come to the club and all your friends are there, and then you share the news.
How do you check it? Like, is it just experience, or do you have a tool or something to check when Avilate's audience in this case is more active?
Well, dark magic.
Okay.
Just kidding. That is experience comes later. Yes, there is a bit of that. So I already know when it's most fun on our social platforms. However, there are tools, and there is a recent thing. Honestly, that has been a bit of a discovery for me, a positive one, with the Twitter, like Twitter Insights, Twitter Studio. That's the thing, that's the overall thing. And there is a tab of Insights, and there is like think of a heat map, like an activity analytics for your account, and that's been an eye-opening experience. So I had suspicion again. And here comes my personal experience that in the evening our Twitter gets more active because Europeans are after work, Americans are waking up, and it's like exchange of information exchange between the time zones. However, that was just a guessing, and now I see that yeah, 5 p.m. on most weekdays or around 5 p.m. is where people are most active. So I started posting more actively at this time, and also just going there to talk to people. So there's that. Also for Instagram, if you go into their native analytics, there's a based on the previous week data, there is the peak activity of the audience tab, and that's pretty useful. I would say that is quite accurate. My thing is to post a little bit ahead of that. For instance, they're most active at, well, let's say 5 p.m. So I posted like maybe 4:30, maybe 4:45, even 4:55. So people go there, and then it's already your stuff is already there. So there are tools for that, of course, not for all social media. For Reddit, there is a tracker too. I think it's a third-party tool, so that's not the official. Maybe there is an official one, but I haven't heard of anything so far. Yeah, so if you can figure out when your audience is active, go for it. Twitter has it, Instagram has it, Reddit has it too through other apps. And maybe there is something new popping up in this direction. There are new tools arising all the time, and old tools are launching new functions. So I suggest keeping an eye on that.
And regard to this, to the audience, so we're aiming to a global, like multiple time zones. And is there a time zone? No, is there a time that, or I don't know how to say it. Like, for example, in your time, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. works great because Europeans are up, Americans check everything first thing in the morning, and Japanese or Asian check everything at night. So that's the sweet spot for a worldwide reach. I'm of course I'm not saying that's the case. I'm asking if you have that like analysis or take on it, and also whether different apps behave differently. So apps, I mean, different networks or different yeah, medium.
That's a very interesting question. I never really compared them directly, but I would say in our case, now that you mentioned that, it's very close. Like on weekdays, Twitter is active at about 5 p.m. my time, which is for your time, roughly that. Of course, it's not like very strict. It's just a time frame, time estimate. Instagram, I think last time I checked it was that too, but I check every week. It changes a bit, so I try to also this time like daylight savings, that kind of stuff. That affects it too. And Reddit is a different story because it tracks the activity in the subreddit. It's not about your activity; it's about the entire subreddit. So that is I wouldn't connect it to the info on own yours, even if you have an account. And Twitter and Insta are yours, your own.
I think we're having some sort of technical difficulties.
I will. Oh, oh,
No,
oh.
it's not your fault. It's just that, this happened, so it's okay.
It does. Yeah, it was a bit delayed for me. So if I need to repeat something, please let me know.
No, just you were saying that Reddit is not about you, but it's about the complete subreddit. So, but it gives you an idea. So basically, on Reddit, you would have to be interested in specific subreddits, and then you will get information regarding that subreddit and the activity of that subreddit, not necessarily you specifically or whatever you put out, but the subreddits that you're interested in, right?
Uh, yeah, I would. So I would compare this, like for instance, Instagram and Twitter is like when you have big news and you want your entire family to know it, and you know that everybody is home from work at 5, so you come home at that time, you catch everybody at the dinner table, and you share the news. However, Reddit is more like your friends coming to the club at a certain hour. You know that you want to deliver some big news, and you know that they are gonna be there at, well, maybe 7 p.m. at this one. At another club, your friends are coming earlier, and the other one is the after party location. So it's pretty much like that.
Okay, got it, got it, got it, got it. So yeah, it's a lot of work, huh?
At first, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming as hell,
Yeah.
and later you get a bit of experience. You don't have to track so hardcore. So there is that too.
So did you finish the whole, like, did you talk about the new post and all that stuff?
We went through this last time, but I would like just a
Oh,
quick reminder. So
yeah.
when you figure out what works, you see that, oh, that people are reacting to this, people are talking about this, people are sharing something. What I do is making notes about what was in that post, what was so special. Maybe it was a funny video, maybe it was my cat's guest appearance, maybe it was a funny gaming moment. For that, check out our TikTok. I had a funny moment and I shared it there. So you make notes about what has been in the tweet that performed better than others. Well, tweet or Insta post or TikTok video. Same principle for all. And then you mix and match. Again, like in a game, you see the elements that are best performing and you dump them into one post and you post it again, and then you see how that performs. For instance, we had an unboxing video uh, that performed well. One of our players did a great job there and it was so funny. Then I was trying to post short witty text. People like stuff like that. People don't like reading too much. People like humor. That worked. Also, lots of emojis. Everything is more visual now, and this is how you can make your text more visual. So those three elements have performed well in different tweets. So those three things were represented in different posts. So what we do then, we make a funny unboxing video, or we take one from that the player made. We add a short witty text to that with lots of emojis. And we, of course, give the link to where to get what was being unboxed. And then again, we track how this performs, the mix and match of best of the best.
And so you've talked about all of the different parts. I don't know how to call it. The different part, yeah, that a post or a message can have. Um, how do you come up with them? Like, how do you come up with a meme? How do you know that the meme is gonna be funny? How do you come up with, I don't know, that kind of stuff? It's just your natural talent, or is there a science there too?
Believe it or not, I've been recently kind of struggling with that, and this comes from not communicating with other people enough. I think that's what we all have in common right now. When you just feel like in a vacuum. With memes, it's easier because once something becomes trending, you see it no matter what. You see it regardless whether you want it or not. Even if it's something you absolutely don't want to see, well, sorry, you're gonna see that somewhere on social media. So I just keep, if I see a meme, I already, okay, I can adapt this, or this reminds me of our games. But here comes another thing that I'm kind of obsessed with our stuff. I play our games as a gamer too. So it's like, oh, that reminds me of that moment in our game. There's that. And also, whenever I have an idea or a pun or a joke, or whenever somebody around me says something, I try to write it down. I try to write it down just to shoot it out in the right moment. And another trick is that I don't have my notebook on me all the time, but I have my phone pretty much all the time. I have a lot of Twitter drafts. That's where I save like short ideas, shower thoughts too, stuff like that you can later edit and post whenever appropriate.
Yeah, you're one of those person that think that everything is useful. Everything will be useful eventually, so you save it for later. Yeah, that's
Yep, I'm
awesome.
Eastern European, you can tell that.
No, it's yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because you guys, I've seen her interact, and oh, that's so interesting, and I'm like, I'm not that interesting, but then it's yeah, it's how you work, how your brain works. I'm not saying that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, good. What works for you, Orchid? The next slide. Sorry,
Yeah. Oh,
I changed the
no.
slide, but I figured that okay, maybe I'm the only one seeing it.
I can see it too. Can
Okay.
anybody in the chat see it? Yeah. So this is the stuff that works in general, but again, I caught myself struggling with that a little bit now that I don't talk so much to other people, like all of us. So
Really? You
it's like,
feel like you don't talk so much with other people, like in
um,
outside internet, you mean, or how do you mean?
well,
Because you're
for
online all the time, interacting with
well,
people.
well, for work I am, but also it's everything is now online. So believe it or not, I'm not so much active on personal social media, and I try to disconnect at every chance that I can. So it's like once I've posted or scheduled work stuff, yeah, I can talk a bit, but then I typically disconnect. And also, yes, outside of social media, of course, everybody's social circles are now shrinking, hopefully temporarily, so that I could see that affecting me, and that was a bit shocking somehow. I never thought I'm so dependent on that. It's and also when you're sometimes it's a bit hard to relate to things that trend, like because you need to create relatable content. It's something relatability I would call one of the main features of content of this year, of last year, of this crazy times. People want to relate with others, and again, because we miss each other in real life, so we want to find someone or something to relate to online. Here comes the tricky part. Everybody likes lighthearted, humorous stuff. Well, TikTok is a very prominent example of that. Or it can be outright stupid. Sometimes I go there and like, okay, what the hell did I just see? And it has like a ton of views, so apparently it's just me who doesn't get it. However, this is a double-ended sword, pun intended, because some things people are now craving humor, but their sense of humor is a bit different, I would say. There are people who are just looking for a reason to be offended. So you have to just triple check everything, and if something can be controversial, you either avoid it or you present it differently. That's another trick to not to walk on eggshells, because that's exhausting.
How you avoid line minds like millennial sensitivity?
I love the term. From now on, I'm gonna use that. That's brilliant.
And this is an example of how she is. Always taking notes. Go ahead.
Yes,
So how you
exactly.
do it? How you do it? Because I honestly I remember when we were putting out the last press release, which was about Prison Tycoon, and I was not thinking at all about people getting offended, and you were already tracking and making sure that the message didn't got derail, and so how do you do it?
Well, with that, first of all, millennial sensitivity is a disease that is so far not curable. I have dark humor. Sorry, not sorry. So, in order to avoid that stuff, like first of all, it's just common sense. If that's, I try to apply that. Like, okay, can that hurt somebody like for a legit reason? Well, I sometimes try to inform myself, like. Something like some jokes about like bad eyesight, for instance, they can be a bit like, I make fun of them personally, but I understand that how in some representation they can be hurtful. So stuff is just an example. Or about I know, like about certain countries, like stereotypes, those things are a no-go just because it hurts people. It's not about sensitivity, it's just about like it's just about respect towards people and how they are. So that is my first filter. Like if it's offending something that the person, about who they are, I would probably reward it, because in a lot of cases, simple. rewriting the message can help eliminate that component. But if there's something that's like, yeah, it's not like what we do, something is not funny, like for instance, the prison thing, but then we can make like we're not offending anybody, we're not hurting anybody with that directly, we're not attacking somebody for who they are, then, well, the internet needs to chill and grow some sense of humor because, for the future, I'm a little bit concerned about the sense of humor of the humanity in general. Because it looks like we're losing the ability to laugh at things that are even not pleasant.
Rick Gervais has been presenting
Oh, oh,
the Golden Globes like 3 or 4 times already, and he's super offensive to the people that are actually attending the event, and he stands on people getting offended. He's like, listen, it's not my problem. If you get offended for what I say, it's your problem, not mine. And he's so unapologetic about being willfully offensive because he's thinking, listen, I have to make fun of you because you're laughable, right? Well, it's his point, and he laughs about everything, and
ethical approach.
it's
Honestly,
well,
that
he's
is
very ballsy. He's like super. Well, it's his style of comedy, right? I mean,
exactly.
it was like there's like I don't know 200 people in this room and there's 200 million watching it. Obviously my audience are not you, well, regards to the Golden Globes, but at any rate, you know that it's sad that in the United States everybody gets so touchy. I feel like the internet is getting that kind of touchy, where everybody gets offended about everything. Um, and yeah, one has to be walking on eggshells because it can be very destructive. You have to be very ballsy or really be very sure of who you are, what you do. I don't know exactly how. I don't know. I don't know how do you have to be to not care about offending people. Um,
between those two, between the things you just mentioned, it's in right in the middle of ballsy and also uh, caring about the people, but not about the offended, the easily offended one. Because here's the thing: that people who want to be offended, they will, no matter what you
yeah,
do, no matter how you belly dance on those eggshells,
yeah,
they're gonna get offended. So the thing is that you just basically, it's another like audience filter, even though I hate that term. You just gather people with a sense of humor around yourself and keep an eye on those on the offended ones just in case, because they can be loud. You cater to your audience who shares your sense of humor, who goes to you for your sense of humor. Of course, hurting anybody is a no-go, but it's just a common human decency that's been around
yeah.
for ages.
Okay. Well, no, it's a nice stance, I would say. It just that I just recall a TikTok video that I watched of a girl that was setting up a flower bouquet. So she worked. She had this started business where she prepared flowers and I don't know something like that, right? And she was explaining. She was preparing a bouquet in the video, and she was explaining. They call it story time, right? And she was explaining that she sent a flower as a thank you to a customer, and that customer called her and said, why would you do this? Why would you send me this flower? I don't want it. Now you've given me this and I didn't want it. And she was like, how can this be? I'm doing something nice for someone and they're getting annoyed or offended and so angry at me. It is yeah, it's kind of like what you said, that people that want to be offended, they're gonna be offended no matter what you do.
Exactly, and it's like even positive subjects can be turned inside out.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
think
that's
that the
just how
line
things
you
are.
walk is, for my point of view, is the correct one. Like, I'm not setting out to offend people. Like, there are a lot of people that are out there trying to offend and to be mean, and we're not, but we do have a sense of humor. That's for sure. And
Yep, and often a very sick one.
yeah, yeah, you're we're being seconded seconded by Naru also. Sounds like a good posture to him, so to him or her, I don't know. Yeah, so we have an image about this, right? We were just talking about the controversial
Yeah,
topics and how to
these are the people of the internet.
yeah, but I remember talking about what was the issue. Oh,
It
I
was the
think
comments.
about talking about the pandemic, was it?
Yes, that one. Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Right? That we and yeah, because okay, so people were staying home and they were playing games, and we thought, well, then, let's give them games for a discount price, but we didn't want it to be seen as taking advantage. So we were trying to do something nice, but we also had to think, okay, can this be taken in the wrong way? Because nowadays it's like this, and could it be seen? And I remember talking about it, and you're like, no, well, we will present it this and that. Well, I mean, you're here, so answer. You can
Yeah,
talk.
that was like, because it was really like my thought was, okay, let's give people a discount. Everybody's now short and might be short on money or something like that. So it was still like a purely nice idea. But then I saw people on Twitter talking about it was like even I think it was a thread. I don't really remember because every day I see like a ton of threads. Like that, oh, some companies are taking advantage of the pandemic of people dying. And I was like, excuse me, what? How twisted that got? And I realized, okay, we just have to give it out there. Like, here, hey, here's a deal. Here's a deal for you, and it's like whatever you do, whatever you think of it, it's not on our business. We are just have it. Here's an offer, and the rest is not on us. But yeah, it's like now if people, the danger is that if people find someone that they want to rip apart, well, they're gonna do it no matter what. Like those characters from Curse Castilla. When I saw that page of the book in the game, I laughed for way too long than I should.
It's just that, well, Curse Castilla, Maldita Castilla for the Spanish talking people, X. It's a game that it's sprinkled with a lot of. It's not an offensive game, I think, and it's not set out to offend anybody. But we used to be more resilient to certain content. And as I talked about the ratings and how different agencies perceive, for example, nudity or sexuality or violence, it shifts. Like Europeans are more okay with nudity, less okay with violence. Americans are more okay with violence, less okay with nudity. We find ourselves with games that might have some content that triggers these two issues and will be differently rated because of that. And Curse Castilla, while passing the rating, there's at the ESRB, there's a question: is there nudity? Well, and we'll check. Is there sexual nuance? Like, is there not just sexuality, but like, is there like, enticing or sexy stuff? And we're like, no, there's nothing sexy, nothing. But then we got back from them, and they say, hello, there's a nipple. There's a womanly nipple in the game, and we're like, what? What are you talking about? And there is. It is like a pixel. So in the game, we have this character that gets transformed from woman. Exactly, curse pixel. For
First
us,
pixel, I love that.
it's so ridiculous when you have a game like this that is so pixel and cartoonish. I don't know. It's so obviously not real anything, right? It's just blood is two red pixels. Anyway, So before, so arriving, and she's like half dressed, and there is a nipple. Actually, there is,
Oh,
but we weren't aware of it. Like we didn't see it. So sometimes you get yourself into sticky situations because you're not, your head is not there. And sometimes, in order to do something amazing like Curse Castilla, you have to show certain stuff that adds to the story or to the gameplay or to your message or to whatever you want to put out. That's the artistic part. I believe that art requires people to be surprised, or if not surprised, shocked or intrigued or moved, or people have to feel something. And if there are people that get offended by it, sometimes it's okay. Or a lot of it. When it comes to art, I would say it is okay. I'm not trying to hurt you. You can always avoid me, but it has to be tackled.
yeah, and no, like if you haven't played Cursed Castilla yet, go ahead, get the game, and find the nipple.
That's a weird recommendation. Go find
Well,
the
it's
ESRB nipple. Yes, absolutely.
but
Absolutely.
honestly, I have not noticed it. That's the thing that even I have not. I don't thinking
Well,
like
I,
for
I,
real.
I, I mean, I've never played so far into the game to actually find it myself as a player, because I love the game. It connects me straight to my summer, my child summer times. It really does. I mean, I see Curse Castilla and I see myself playing at the arcades during summertime. That's when my father gave us money to go play, and we would take the bikes and go bar to bar playing the coin ops that they would have. So this is this game, it's a straight line to that. And yeah, anyway.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, but it does. And the amazing thing of this game is that it does an amazing job to remind you of that kind of games. My point is that I was never set out to finish the game. I was set out to just enjoy it and play as long as I could with a coin or two. And so when I play Curse Castilla, I intend to do the same. I'm not set out to finish the game, although it's fantastic to actually see the whole game, because this is an amazing piece of art. But anyway, enough of me. Let's move on to the next slide. Sorry, I'm getting
It's another
old.
interesting experience.
Jesus, go ahead.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking of things in Curse Castilla, that's something I've been playing on stream for quite a while and trying, and in front of everyone, I've been trying different strategies to defeat those bosses. That's like my favorite part. There is this, as I called him, Angry Weatherman, or as one of my viewers said, Angry Gandalf, Nuberu, that one. I keep wondering what is the gesture he's showing at our night. So yes, go ahead and check out Curse Castile and let us know, because whether it's just me or maybe he's really showing something.
Absolutely. So, changing the slide, did you see it changing?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, just now it is. So yeah, we have two challenges in 2021. The first one already talked about is staying relevant. The second one is how to not go nuts. Spoiler, that's very hard, the latter. Staying relevant is a little bit easier. So the first thing that I'm trying to, like in the long run, that I have like in my mind printed out and taped to the wall is build communities uniting people around an interest, not against something. You can do a little bit of this like against something bad, preferably something bad in the game, but the main idea is to get people together around something all of them love, so that they would share the positive experience. Because even if people are uniting around like controversial stuff, here's the thing that probably they won't tell you, that they are looking for places where they can enjoy something they love, something that brings them positive emotions, without any kind of without having to look like someone, where they can just simply indulge in their passions and their pleasures, which in our case are the games, the retro games, the mobile games, the console games. Yeah, if you type in !games in the chat, you can see the games that we've got. Everybody's now looking for entertainment. We have a lot of bored people at home, and I'm thinking of the TikTok song of "Bored in the House." A lot of challenges with that. You should entertain them. This is your way to their like a cliche expression, a way to their hearts is entertainment, but with relatable things. So you're doing two things at once. You make them smile. You give them something to relate to. This can also connect you with some new people. Like, for instance, they were not into games, but you post something that's relatable to them, and then they get curious about your games. Entertain, but with relatable things, and this is how you promote. No, do not necessarily sell something all the time. Like if you like openly promote stuff on your account, it's totally fine. However, that should be layered like a cake with the different things, with different kind of content that does not explicitly bring the selling the promotional value. There needs to be something that you just put out there, you share it, think of how you would share it with your friends. In this case, like extended friends circle. And continuing with that is the real life events that everybody can now relate to. You should use them to connect with other people, but use them wisely. Think twice before tapping into some kind of conversation, like how relevant is it to your game or to your team? What are you getting out of this? What kind of sentiment will this bring to you or your game? So you just have to overthink. Overthinking is good in this case, but only in this case. Social media trends, hell yeah, jump on those. Again, evaluate, check whether it makes sense, whether it's, I don't want to say it's safe, but whether the controversial value of that does not exceed the fun value of it. Social media trends, I mean, like those challenges, memes, but also social media platforms, like this recent explosion of TikTok. Feel free to explore new platforms. Maybe you'll find something that will work for you specifically. Versatile content for the win. This is for your sanity. When you're creating content, try making it with different platforms in mind. For instance, a Twitch stream, make it prepare some quotes that can later be reused on other platforms, on Twitter, on Instagram, and even as a TikTok Twitch clip. Just an example. It can be any kind of content that becomes, in terms of social platforms, cross-platform. Mix and match the best performing content. This is also has something to do with versatility, because you are pretty much using the proven and tried parts, but in a new combination. So this also adds to relevance, plus keeps you sane, because you don't have to invent the wheel again. You can use what you already worked on that. And last but not least, do disconnect, because you're losing this creative thing. You're simply burning out when you're online all the time. And I hit this stuff, and sometimes I get there, which is really dangerous, because then you're like in vacuum and you can't create anything. You can get out of that, but it's hard. So better to have 100% offline times.
I was gonna say it before, but I'm like, let's wait until the end, because someone like you, I could include myself, but actually, your job is being connected 24/7. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. So if that was my job, it would be very hard for me to disconnect. So how do you do it? And yeah, how do you do it?
Well, that's also a question that my 17-year-old niece once recently kind of asked me about it. She wrote a post about social media obsession, and she was asking like, how do you people get out of that? And I told her, get a job that has something to do with social media. In this case, you'll be enjoying what you do, you'll be enjoying your job, and you'll know doing, you're basically, and you'll create cool stuff, you will never be bored. But then when you're done with your work stuff, you'll be so sick of social media that you will have no problem disconnecting. So yeah, it's like for me, it's the problem. There is, of course, the fear of missing out. Fear of missing out has moved online, just like all of the things. But disconnecting feels like a blessing. So I scheduled the post, for instance, for the weekend, and in the evening before my Friday workout, I just off and I will only log in case of like some kind of emergency, or if there like if I see that someone really like trying to get a hold of me needs help, or something exploded or something like that. But also I have I don't have this all people who know me are surprised that I don't have this craving to log on social media when I'm in this disconnect mode. Not at all. I just use my phone for cat pictures in those times.
To be updated on that though.
Yeah.
So what okay. I know the answer of half of it, but I'm gonna do it like so what would be your favorite network for work, where what would be your favorite network for personal use?
Yeah, you know it well. For work, I'm starting to like TikTok.
Oh.
Even though for personal use, I'm not a big fan of that. And for personal, it's Insta, because in terms of creation content, I'm more into like still imaging. However, the lack of organic growth on that platform makes it not so fun for work, because you really need to at work. I need to reach the maximum amount of people. I need to expand the community. I need to talk to many people and to have my stuff shown, because I put a lot of effort, a lot of sweat, blood, and tears into creating our content of our games, presentation, funny stuff, anything. And it's really frustrating when you post it on Insta and no one sees it because of that algorithm. So it's like you're always playing cat and mouse with that stuff. I kind of learned how to make the most out of it, but it's not what it used to be. It's not what it used to be, for instance, when I started in like 2010, 2009, maybe 10, about that. As for TikTok, it has insane organic growth now, and you can explore ways to interact, and they will actually bring you something. So you post something, you know there's going to be a response. You know, people are going to see that, and that it's not going to be just buried by the algorithm that wants you to do ads. I'm no way an advertiser. I'm a former news person, so getting the message to as many people as possible is the goal. But as for personal thing, like as a person creating videos, yeah, I know new video. Now I know this funny games like game stuff, game presentation editing. But somehow personally, again, I can only come up with cat TikToks.
So for personal use, which one would be? TikTok? No.
And I think the sound is gone. Or I
So
can't
no,
hear.
I was saying
Oh,
for personal use, what would it be TikTok?
Instagram.
Instagram. Okay.
Still Instagram, because still pictures and short videos and interactive formats of the story.
Okay. But it also is, so but now, so before it was Instagram also for professional, but now it's TikTok is
No, it's
gaining your
TikTok.
heart, is it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. But do you
Especially
think
the retro gaming on
okay.
TikTok.
Okay, interesting. I have several questions with that. So there is a lot of people complaining about TikTok and how they, how can you how to make segments of your audience on TikTok, how to reach people from specific countries maybe, and yeah, and how random it is or it feels on TikTok. But yeah, well, if you're a content creator on TikTok, they are gonna love you. You're a content creator, so they love you, right? Is that it?
Well, hope
Is that
so.
your juice?
Yeah, kind of. TikTok is really tricky, especially when you just start there, especially as a brand. Because you have to you don't only present yourself, you present something, you have some kind of value, you deliver something like, here's what I've got for you. I'm just the messenger, basically. Like I have something to offer. Check this out. So when you get there for the first time, it looks totally random, but their algorithm it kind of adjusts to you, and I would say that is more of a positive thing. So what you do when you just start there as a brand, you follow creators, maybe like follow your friends from your social from other social media. That's like the first thing you can do to feel not to feel like it, alone at the party. Then you follow creators. You look up hashtags, same as on other social media. I was looking for other indie developers. I was looking for streamers, for indie streamers particularly. What else? For retro gamers, retro collectors. So you just find your crowd through hashtags and you follow them. Then here's the first step. It will start offering you more content. And in terms of in terms of countries, here there is like a big it's a spoonful of poop in the middle of a cake. That's what it was. That's what it seems like, because there is forced geo-targeting. What that means is that, from what I figured out in the experimental way, so this is just how I figure out it works. The recommended stuff, the trends, and all that, it shows based not only on your location. So if you change your phone's location, that's not going to help. Apparently, it's somehow tied to the SIM card. So you can technically, if the VPN did not work for me when I tried to reach audiences in Europe and in the Americas, it was still giving, like, the views were bad, and I was still seeing the trends here. So ripping out the SIM card and changing your phone's region and probably using VPN, that could do the trick, but it's too much hassle, to be honest. So I tried the other way. I tried the other way that I found something. I think it was either Stack Overflow or something similar. Don't remember. You follow creators from the regions you're interested in. As we were promoting Hyperlight Drifter Physical Edition in Europe, I focused on European creators. Through them, I also discovered others. So now, like when you're following, it will show you also content from those countries. So there is a bit more of this, but still, the forced geo-targeting is a thing, and so far I haven't found ways to bypass that stuff. So there is that. Also, hashtags work. Unlike on other platforms, on TikTok, hashtags really matter. And there you can, if you put them in the language of the country that you're trying to target, that can help, but that is no instant effect, I would say. You need to do that continuously in at least a few videos to see some kind of reach for those countries. That's what I have noticed.
Yeah, I'm a slightly bad producer of myself because I started talking and I was muted. So I was saying that I changed the slide saying thank you, let's stay in touch, but nobody leave because we're going to be continue talking about marketing and guerrilla marketing. It's just the presentation is finished. So the document, right? But not the content of the talk. We're going to be asking questions to Orchid and pick her brain on things regarding to marketing. For example, I wanted to talk about the different networks, and that's why I also changed the slide, because here we have, I would say, the four most trendy ones right now. There's some missing, and we can. I would like for you to tell us why do we use them and how to use them. For example, with regards to a message, and for Twitter. How do you use Twitter for Avalide?
So with Twitter, it's a fast-paced, it's a responsive platform. It's where conversation happens. So if somebody's okay, I'm revealing that I'm old, but there is an old meme about explaining how social media work. So Twitter is like, I've made a game, just as a fact, like a statement. On Twitch is watch me play my game. On TikTok is like, look at the funny things I can do in my game. And on Instagram, like, hey, my game looks cool. That's a quick. And on LinkedIn, when I work in my game, something like that. That's like a quick explanation of the difference. So
What
on
would
Twitter,
be Facebook? Do Facebook.
oh, Facebook. This is where my old family members can see my game.
My mom talking about my game, no? My mom.
Yeah. Yeah. So something like that. I didn't want to be like disrespectful or something, but it's kind of funny. Or this is where my family members can give me shit over my game if it's something controversial.
Ask me about a fruit or something, right?
Oh yeah. Which game character are you? That's
Uh-huh. Okay.
that that too. Or some kind of like game character charity that is not even real. That's at least that. Yeah, Facebook. Um,
Yeah,
that's the only.
it's really. I remember when we tried to be, well, we try everything, right? So it was the time of Facebook, and I remember how going into the analytics of Facebook and checking, and you could compare yourself to people that you considered your average, and like other developers in our case at the time, right? And I remember that the ones that I clicked, we were always the underdog, always, always. And I'm like, oh my god, this is so exhausting. We are so bad at this, and then it got irrelevant, and it's like all the work that went in to get us nowhere, and yeah, it's a sad story. It's a really sad story about Abilite and its social networking. Sorry.
Yeah, for now it's like the only value I can see there that for us at least, again, I'm talking about our example, it might be completely different based on your game because some audiences are still active there and the core audience might be on that exact network. So this is just our case that developer groups have value, like for instance, even the message about the stream. I like posting in like where developers hang out so that more people would join because maybe they're not on, for different reasons, they're not on other networks or they just prefer a particular one. So there's that. Twitter is interactive. Twitter is where conversation happens. Twitter is where you can see the trends, including real life stuff. So people share short messages there. This is where like think of the chat at the office coffee room, something of that kind, but worldwide. This is where if you need to get something fast and loud, you go on Twitter. And the formats that perform there are pretty varied. So a text can get viral. Like some stupid tweet can be, I had that happen to me personally. Something can go viral out of nowhere and you're like, okay, I didn't even say anything special, but here it is. Or a video can explode, or a very skillful video can just get buried. You never know. But it's a fast-paced, it's a conversational platform. As for Insta, now, well, I miss the old Insta where you could share pretty pictures basically. So this is where you can go wild with visual content, but better fit it into the square image format if you like. That's the downside. If you want it to look good there. You have to adjust to the platform. That's what we were talking about earlier. There, it's less conversation. It's more of like visual presentation. It's eye candy. So you're sitting in front of a candy jar and you're just like eating it. That's pretty much what it is. You can put some text in there, but that's just like extra spice on top of the eye candy. This is to show off, basically. It is what it is. Yes, connect too, but this is like a picture gallery where you're standing at some drawing or artwork and you're discussing it with other people, which is the comments. So another network I didn't mention here is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is for a bit of a different segment of our community. Forgot to mention that our community we have a double community. We have gamers and we have developers. Often those two intertwine. And that's why this is also where I can probably say that this is where developers and players unite or exchange their experience. So LinkedIn is more of the professional thing. It doesn't mean that we don't share gamer targeted news there. Of course we do, because they also have professional value. For instance, the fact that we launched Hyperlight Drifter physical collector set, it makes sense to share it both with players, but also with colleagues from the industry, because that is cool and we're heckin' proud of that. But the presentation is slightly different. I don't want to call it more formal. I still try to be pretty conversational on LinkedIn. It tends to get boring there. But still, it's not the overall vibe. It's not the same. It's more like a message It feels to me like more of a professional message board, a bit of on the old school side. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just how things are. So I tweak the message a bit to adapt to this, like, when you write something down, you design it and then you post it, like with a thumbtack. That's LinkedIn. Also, if we're looking for somebody, since we have a lot of professionals there, we of course go on LinkedIn. And other networks in this case play a bit of a more of a supplemental role in terms of sharing. For instance, a job posting, which we recently shared. They
Did we?
were on the website. On the website we did coming up on because firing all the guns at the same time is not exactly
Just
not exactly what works because
one at a time.
yeah, it's like a bit prolonged in time. Not even one at a time also works. That's another strategy that is done for some types of content. With this stuff, I would suggest like stretching it out a bit so that more people it would like move in front of more eyeballs of people.
Yeah, it's true. We just published I think three different job offers. We're looking for technical artists. We're looking for senior developers. We're looking for animator, rigger. So yeah, we're growing the family. Yeah, first we go local or local, and then we published worldwide right now. Thanks to the pandemic, that's one of the good things that have happened has happened to us is because of the pandemic we've learned how to work remote, and we're very happy on having people from all around the world if possible. True is though that there are specific hours that everybody has to be working, so it can be challenging if you're like in a completely different time zone. But definitely interesting. Yeah, I think that we're working better LinkedIn, and I will see how it goes because yeah, LinkedIn is a professional network, but it's kind of like a way for people to find a job. I've never found a job on LinkedIn, but it's true that okay, and this is many years ago. An employer of mine, before it was my employer, saw that I was very active on the network and thought, oh, this might be interesting. So anyway, this was a I had the interview, and a year later I had the job.
Ah,
Yeah, that
it's
was
like a
crazy.
business card. I would say LinkedIn is more like an extended business card. Like here, have my LinkedIn is the current equivalent of like, check out my business card. Let's connect later. But
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
how
let's
I
connect
use
now.
it. That's how I use it when I get a business card or I get a new business connection. But I receive a lot of requests for contact, and I decided to include a message in my profile that said, I'm not going to include you if you don't tell me why should I do that. If I don't know you personally, why would I add you? So I might not be using the network right, but that's what I think.
I
but
think I need to do that too.
I receive a lot of requests, and I don't like, oh, I don't like human resources people because they are very buggy. As well, yeah, they are, and I think that they also want to get in contact with me to attack my team. So I don't like them. I remember I got so mad. I deleted all the contacts that I had that work on human resources or outsourcing companies and of all that. I don't add them either, cuz yeah, they they just want to steal your team or sell you team members from other companies, and I don't know. Anyway, I'm going a bit off track. But my point is that because of the new strategy that you've been developing for LinkedIn, we've been more active. There's been more posts. There's been more follows, and hopefully now when we publish the new job offers that we would like to fulfill this year, it's gonna be better. It's gonna spread wider. We'll see. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
and I'm
I'm
also
I'm I'm hopeful.
yeah, same. And I'm trying to like in the posts about, for instance, our news. I'm trying to somehow convey the overall vibe of the team, like to show that hey, we're not like stuck up or something. We're like we work our butts off, but also we're fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you if you have fun working, I mean, I cannot lie. I cannot lie. I'm a workaholic. I love what I do. I love what I do. That doesn't mean that everything that I do is fantastic. Of course, there's stuff that I hate about my job, but so but yeah, it's like you take the good with the bad. So yeah, I love to work. I agree. I mean, a lot of my fights, let's call it that, with my husband is about time for work. We fight to get more time to work, um, while at the same time having a lot of time to be with our kid. So it's like you had 2 hours. I had 1 hour. I need the time, but you had it. So yeah, I was thinking the other day. I don't think there's a lot of people. Maybe it is. Maybe it's normal. But it's not the typical kind of fights that you see reported. Around this kind of fights, it's very particular to us, I think. We
At least, yeah, there are two of us like that on the team then.
No, I know that there's more. I know that I
Yep,
mean,
more. Okay.
we tend to select ourselves. No, it's just that you feel comfortable. We're so passionate about what we do that we want to surround ourselves with people that feel the same for what they do, in the space that we're doing it. So but I manage a video game company. I'm not managing a paper company. We're watching The Office now while we have dinner. So we're watching the show The Office. I know we come a bit late to it, but it's quite a good show. We weren't so enthusiastic at first, but now we're hooked. So it's
Ah,
yeah, it's been rewarding.
we have to check it out too. But we've been recently binging on Dragon Ball Z, and that's been also like a
What?
somehow inspirational in terms of content creation because I can create more like references, and a lot of people will understand that. And yes, I'm late to the party there too.
But which show? Which show you said?
Dragon Ball Z,
Oh, Jesus! Really?
my
Okay.
shape, yes,
Okay. Dragon Ball Z. Okay. Okay.
the
Okay.
classics.
You see, Dragon Ball. This was a show that I watched when I was a kid,
Oh,
and it got too complicated to my taste. At least for when I was watching it. I love the
that.
first installment when Goku is a kid. I love it, and I had fun watching it, and I watch it like several times because they would put it on every year kind of. But yeah, it got to a point when they evolved and went into the Z and to the I don't know what else. Yeah, they lost me. That happened. That happened. Anyway, so before I forget, I wanted to also talk to you about what do you think about the future of communication? Like when we when I see how we used to communicate, it was a press release, it was a message, a written message that it had a companion, that it had to go accompanied with several stuff, several certain information and certain assets, and somehow we still keep doing that because there's always people that respond to that. But we've evolved, like we really evolved. We're like messaging and we're putting ourselves out there. How do you see the future? Do you have an idea of where do you think we're going with the communication stuff?
Well, that's part of my job to have an idea where we're going. So I usually have like a roadmap and also plan B and sometimes a bit of a plan C, just in case, I read some news recently, not news, but like I don't want to call it prediction, but that games, when the pandemic is over, the nearest future, the games are gonna have a decline. So in that case, if that comes true, I don't see like a big tragedy in that, but we'll just have to keep our audiences. It might be harder and slower to grow the community. However, which I'm also seeing now with the information overload that it's slowing down. And I assume because people are overloaded with info being poured into their ears, eyes, all senses from all directions online. However, in the future, we might have to put more effort not into acquiring the new players, but maybe keeping the old ones entertained, have them bring their friends. That's one of the things that I'm looking at in the longer run. As for press releases, well, a bit of an old school press person. I worked on television, and I know how it works there. I think they're not going anywhere, but they become not the primary source of news, not the primary source of information. Press people are still, as we talked in one of the previous streams, that press people, of course, journalists, editors, they're still special, they're still important, but they're not the only ones. So for someone, it might be more convenient to receive a press release and use that. So for them, we make those. However, the social media messaging plays a bigger role now, and it will be changing. So for instance, now when announcing something, and yes, this is a big fat hint. On the chunk chart, this hint is an "oh Lord, he coming." So if there's an announcement, I would not only do a press release, I would not only talk directly to press people who might be interested, like by email, by stalking down basically their contents. Not only I would tweet and Insta about it, but maybe I would make a funny TikTok video on the subject, something like that. So now you have to deliver the message through all channels possible, and I think that's going to be the way of delivery, the style of delivery will be changing because what we just talked in one of the previous slides, the concept of relatability. You need to make everything relatable, and what will be relatable will depend on what's happening in the out of games world.
Yeah, you said something that you see, I wasn't thinking about it. But it's true. I mean, once the pandemic is over and people basically, in theory, here in Spain, it was declared the end of the, well, not the pandemic, but the alarm state, which is a legal situation that the country where they could enforce that everybody would have to go home at a certain time. Well, that and all, and a lot of other stances where, you know, it was an extreme situation for the country, but that is over, even though the pandemic is not. But people are hungry to go outside. People are really fed up because the pandemic was cute at the beginning, but it gets old very fast. Like after over a year, there is a lot of stuff that you can share, but and you connect. Like you can say that you're fed up with the pandemic, and everybody everywhere will agree with you, right? Because we
Yeah.
are all, it's a global thing, hence the pandemic. But the message is like, you're fed up, you want to go out. And I haven't been thinking that people will stop playing as much, and will stop being so attentive at online stuff. And the big ones maybe won't care much because they are okay, they have
Yeah.
their everything figured out, right? But maybe flourishing industries in not so strong countries, maybe they will suffer even more once the pandemic is over. I haven't I honestly wasn't thinking about that.
I think play is going to change. I don't think it's going to decline, but of course change. So for instance, my prediction, again, I don't have a crystal ball here, even though a lot of people would assume I do, but I don't have one here. So so one of the things that is going to change is, so now the games with any kind of social component, with any kind of interaction, they are trending. They're becoming, all of us know what that's about. Like the games that did not require any platform, like specific or expensive platform, something that people can play together. That's what's the thing now. And of course, because we're all craving any kind of interaction with friends. However, when this stuff is over, and for instance, we can go places, games that do not require an online connection will be the thing, because gamers are gonna game. They will want to game even when they're outside. Or when travel opens, Switch games. My personal thing is like the favorite part of flights, of long flights. I do enjoy them because I can shamelessly indulge in Switch playing.
Yeah, I think that's actually something that helped a lot to the Switch, that it was like the platform to travel with. I
Exactly.
mean, I had so many people that were traveling and yeah, taking along the Switch because yeah, it was nice. It was manageable even
Yeah.
when traveling. Yeah. And I was going to tell you something. Oh, yeah, I remember. You know what we have forgotten, or at least I have to ask? The
Mm,
big
as
forgotten
in-
and all this is Discord. We haven't said a peep
oh,
about Discord. And we
yes.
are actually using it pretty intensively too.
Yeah.
But we're too
So
new. Is that it? That's why we have forgotten about it?
yeah, that is the end of the day. That's the end of the effect of the end of the day. Yeah.
It should be on this slide too. It should be the
Yeah.
logo of Discord and our public server in it, right?
Yeah, and the thing is that with Discord link, like in this, it makes sense to send a Discord link. By the way, type exclamation mark Discord to
Yes.
get that exact link in the
Ah,
chat here. Everyone is more than welcome because, spoiler, heads up, big fat hint that something is gonna be there before everywhere else very soon. So it makes sense to join the Discord to find something out before everybody does.
I always
That
check.
is
I always check our Discord channel and to see what people say and whether they ask. I mean, sometimes there's someone that might say something that I don't know how to answer to, but I think I love it. I love it. I really like it. I hope to see it grow a lot eventually and have a lot of interaction with people because I think I'm using it every day. I'm there every day because I'm working there. And checking the server for me, it's like clicking and seeing, and it's so direct, so dynamic. And I'm getting more and more people there. So I hope that eventually the Abilight's Discord server will have a lot of people and it's so fast, so direct. I find it it's my input, but yeah, I haven't picked your brain about how are we gonna promote, or are we even gonna do it. I don't know.
Yeah, that is also a way to participate, and it might sound crazy, but with Prison Tycoon and under new management, that is now under active development, under construction. With that, that is the fastest way to exchange ideas and opinions with us, and to quite possibly get your idea implemented together with us. So uh, again, this sounds bold, but that's how we are. We are inviting players, especially those who have experience with as gamers with the tycoon style of games, to actively participate in development through interacting with us. And I've heard opinions like, "Oh no, another Discord server," and I know that sentiment too because I'm personally in a ton of servers, and I have like most muted because it gets unbearable, even though I check a few pretty regularly. However, this is the most certain way to get a hold of our development team to talk to us directly,
Yeah.
uh, and to give us feedback, suggestions, warning. Like if something's not working, you can just mention there, and you can be sure that we will have a look at it probably sooner than at other channels.
Yeah, we got the whole team is on our public server. Well, it's everywhere, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, they you can actually talk to them directly. Yeah, that's pretty cool too.
There's also a channel for pet pictures. I thought I would mention that, so feel free to go ahead and share your pet pictures in there too.
This is okay. Yeah, cat lovers. It's good that I'm okay with cats, and
Yes.
I'm yeah. I mean, I like cats. I find they are very awesome. It's really interesting. I think cats are interesting because they manage their humans.
Exactly. I'm wrapped around the paw.
So oh no, Noru is oh good. I will get my puppy pictures in there right now.
Go ahead.
Puppies
I
are
want to
also
see. Go
welcome.
ahead. I want to see. I'm curious.
Yep. Well, I think that that's about it for today, except that we have one more thing, and it's the announcement of next week stream. Sadly, Orchid is not, you're not gonna be with us next week. But well, you're gonna be attending probably, managing and stuff. But I'm gonna be having two awesome guests. I'm leaving, yeah, which are gonna be Loco Malito and Gritor87. They're gonna join me to talk about a great announcement that we have. Next week, you'll know more. Just stay tuned, because yeah, there's gonna be more about it. And right now, I want to thank you, Orchid, for being such a great sport and joining me on the stream about the digital guerrilla marketing. You're a trooper, and I thank you very much. I'm
Thank you.
gonna.
Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, yeah, it's a pleasure spending time with you.
Likewise.
So I'm gonna thank you guys and catch up with you next week. Bye.